So what made you want to start talking about the wrongful conviction movement?
Well, I've never heard it phrased like that. Wrongful conviction movement. Interesting. That's funny that there's a name. Yeah, I guess I'm on the outside, but I've independently discovered that there's a lot of shenanigans going on and it doesn't get covered. And so what you'll have is random people like me who, I'm not from this field per se, but I do consider myself a morally grounded person. I mean, I am an Eagle Scout. I like to brag about to my audience. And I'm not seeing anyone else cover a lot of these cases. And I'm hearing, in fact, the opposite. I'm seeing the New York Times and very popular podcasts and very famous people stating things that are completely false and in a morally egregious way, effortlessly. And so it is shocking and appalling. And I feel like it's my duty to point out to whoever cares to listen that this is an outrage.
I agree.
I independently research these cases, and every time I go into one, I'm hoping I'm wrong. I'm hoping oh, well, maybe they do have a case here. Why would they put their reputations behind something if it was so obviously one way? And I really do feel like I come into it with an open mind. And then I'm just shocked when the evidence just piles up and up and up. And I'm like, what am I watching here?
Do you hear that from your audience? Because I hear that a lot, that I think everybody's guilty. And I always try to explain that I'm always hoping that every case I look at is a case of a wrongful conviction. I just haven't found one of the cases that I've covered. But do you find that the people say to you, you think everybody's guilty? Or also they use the word biased a lot. Do you get that?
No, I think people realize that it's very uneventful to pick a case that is, I don't know, you got to be careful of confirmation bias. That is true. But that's not how I come to these cases. There are a ton of situations that it just doesn't interest me because it's so open and shut. If there's a gray zone, I'm just so irritated by how confident people are, and they're so wrong. I mean, you could not be more wrong. And I feel like they get behind a case, a wrongful conviction case, because it's like this underdog story where they think we got to help this person. I'm going to be heroic here, and there's a great injustice being done. Meanwhile, ironically, they're taking part in a savage injustice, which is these victims are dead and forgotten half the time, and no one is representing them. Mm-hmm. And their family is all traumatized, and there's no money and there's no movement behind supporting these victims. And if it's a district attorney, these people are busy and they've moved on. There's 100 other cases they're working on. So who is going to stand up for those people? Mm-hmm. And instead, you get these narratives that are built, and it's these stories, and you can see the emotional notes that they're hitting, and it's so predictable and it's repetitive. I can't believe a single person buys into it. But then you go on TikTok and you go on social media, and it's like, how much research are these people putting into these cases?
What they ask me is, have you gone to the Innocence Project website? That's their research.
Oh my God.
And that seems to be the press's research too on these cases.
And the Innocence Project, I don't think I'm being cynical here. I legitimately think that the word innocence is enough for people. That's their due diligence. They go, well, why am I trusting the Innocence Project? Well, have you not seen the title of their name?
I've had the same thought. I was, are they just well branded? You are listening to the Roberta Glass True Crime Report, putting the true back in true crime. From New York City, Roberta Glass is now on the record. Hi, everybody. I hope you're having a good week. Good day. So, I'm back again after saying I would never talk about Amanda Knox again. But, as promised, Devon Tracey rushed out a video of amazing innocence fraud for Amanda Knox. And I wanted to respond to it because he answers none of my questions, in fact, deals with none of the real evidence against Amanda Knox, and instead strawmans my argument and tries to make it look like I'm white knighting for Rudy Guede. No, it's a group crime, just like the Central Park Five, and you're doing exactly what the Central Park Five innocence fraudsters did, Devon, when they found Matias Reyes's DNA on a sock next to, which was found next to Trisha Melee's body. And when they tested his DNA, they got him to plead guilty to everything. It made no difference to him. He was doing life. And now all the confessions of the four, and then all the peripheral people, they don't matter anymore. So now Amanda Knox was just, according to Devon, convicted with no evidence. So she had multiple appeals, which is essentially another trial. That's how the Italian justice system works. So those must have been short trials. What happened? The prosecutor just presented their no evidence, and the judge was like, "Oh, this is a guilty person because she's pretty and I'm jealous." It is it's so crazy, but I want you to think about how innocence fraud works. So the essence of innocence fraud is making something untrue true. So if you had, and making it really an American myth, if you had to do that with a case that had such overwhelming evidence against three people, and you had to make it so it was just one guy, how would you do that? So you'd have to come up with some motive that they were out to get the other two people, right? It was a witch hunt, tunnel vision investigation, all the hallmarks of an innocence fraud case. You'd make media around it, a documentary to convince everybody, make a new version of the case to show them the new version of the case. You'd refuse to debate the case with anyone who knew anything about the case, because in that dialogue, you would be exposed as someone who was ignoring a whole lot of evidence. And why? All to promote a killer? I mean, I think Devon really sums it up perfectly. You're taking part in an egregious injustice. You're re-victimizing the victims' families, and you're being untruthful. And I was really disappointed that Devon didn't take more time with this. He rushed out, and we were joking in that episode about just running to the Innocence Project. And you can see in this, Devon runs right to Amanda Knox's propaganda, doesn't check the other side. If he checked the two links that I put in my video, it would have taken him to something he was looking for directly yesterday on Twitter, which was Rudy Guede's interviews translated. They're all there in that website, but he went right to Amanda Knox's propaganda and just repeated it like a parrot. So let's watch it together, shall we? And I have some stuff prepared, and we can talk a little bit about the evidence. I mean, why I think Amanda Knox is involved, and these group crimes are always difficult. The innocence fraud movement loves to talk about group crimes because they're very hard to imagine. How did it start? What was it about? Who did what? I can't speak to the mechanics of how this worked, what happened. All I know is there was a lot of evidence, both behavioral, both DNA, that implicated Amanda Knox. So let's review. There's Amanda Knox mixed DNA that lit up under luminol. Luminol is a chemical that detects blood. That was in roommate Philomena's room, the room of the stage break-in. And you can say that that's a real break-in, but no court has accepted that one person has done this alone. Not even the court that let Amanda Knox go. They let her walk with this wonderful exonerating decision that she was there at the scene of the crime and that she washed Meredith Kircher's blood off of her hands. It also said that the break-in was staged. Amanda Knox tried to pin this on her boss in a way to hide Rudy Guede, to run cover for him, because he knew that if he started talking, it would be very bad for both her and Raph. Not that she cared so much about Raph. By the time she was in prison, she was moved on, writing other boyfriends, et cetera, et cetera. So let's watch this together. And it starts out with a lot of philosophy about the truth, which is really offensive when there's no truth in it. Besides his name being Devon Tracey, that may be true. Hold on. Oh, wait.
It would appear that a lot of the things I get involved in are explorations as to what is true and what is not true. How do we know what we know? I mean, this is sort of a sweeping topic that spreads across many different issues. So it's not just about, is there a God, is there not a God? Did this guy kill someone, did he not? How do we know anything? Who are we to trust? What is truth? What is history? Isn't it just whoever has the best stories? Whoever makes you feel the best? Yeah, it kind of is. But it shouldn't be, because reality does matter. And that's why I want to talk a little bit about Amanda Knox. So I thought this was settled science, but apparently there's a persistent...
Settled science. She was let go because of American pressure. And the only way they could let her go is just by throwing out all the DNA evidence. And really, in truth, if they did that, they should have thrown out the evidence against Rudy Guede. DNA evidence against Rudy Guede. In that. Because to say that Rudy Guede did this alone, you have to say all the evidence, the DNA evidence against Amanda Knox is wrong and corrupted, and Raph as well. And all the evidence that implicates Rudy Guede was correct. Same investigators, same lab. And there's no actual opportunity for corruption. So there's this DNA, there's her changing stories. She wrote a confession where she said she was at the scene. She put herself at the scene. She changed her story multiple times. All this, Devon won't talk about.
Community of people who still think Amanda Knox killed her roommate. Or, it's convoluted, she took part in it. She was guilty in some way. The story morphs and changes to try to accommodate some pretty glaring...
I've never morphed or changed my story. You can listen to all my episodes on Amanda Knox. They're all consistent, and it's all the same, because the evidence never changes in this case, unless you want to ignore it.
Facts about the fact that no, Amanda Knox did not kill her roommate, and it was a black guy. So, shocking, I know, it's shocking. But the whole lesson of Amanda Knox got screwed royally by the Italian justice system and spent years in prison that she shouldn't have.
What do you know about the Italian justice system, Devon? He never really explains how. How did she get screwed?
Is apparently not the takeaway for a lot of people. I did a poll on my Twitter, and 31% of people think she's guilty. That's insane. Of course, 43% of blacks think that OJ's innocent, and 17% of whites.
And most people think the Central Park Five were wrongfully convicted, thanks to the American media and the rest of the innocence fraud myths. Sacco and Vanzetti, the Rosenbergs, West Memphis 3, Richard Glossop, Julius Jones, Rodney Reed, because you have a multi-billion-dollar movement backing them, and that has no opposite.
Today, think OJ's innocent. So, don't be that shocked that people are that dumb. I think a lot of this is rooted from the true crime cat lady bitches.
Okay, so don't listen. So he's starting with the ad hominem attacks. Don't listen to the cat ladies. They don't know anything. Not like Devon Tracey. And I love how he has the Amanda Knox documentary playing right behind him. The ultimate Amanda Knox propaganda. And that seems to be his due diligence. He's watched the documentary. Guys, he's watched the documentary. He knows all about it. He knows all about it, except he didn't know she had 2 other roommates. She he didn't know she put herself at the scene. Didn't know about the mixed DNA. Didn't know about Philomena at all. Didn't know why they thought it was staged. And he doesn't know that no court who has looked at this case has thought one person did it alone. So what Devon Tracey is saying is that he knows better than the courts that looked at all the evidence because because I guess he's done this kind of image management that he's a truth seeker and an Eagle Scout and et cetera, et cetera. I think that's what he's saying. I don't know.
Who are jealous of Amanda Knox, period, point blank.
Okay, this is interesting. So I think this is to me, I'm jealous of Amanda Knox, and this goes on. So was I jealous of Amanda Knox when I was a supporter of her, or did I develop this jealousy over time when I learned more information about the case and I changed my opinion and I concluded she was guilty? So when did this jealousy come in exactly? And so that would have been such a quick, it's so easy to put together these videos. Like all you have to do is go to these like propaganda sites and they have all your talking points written out for you. It's a lot harder to go through the documents and the evidence, think about the case, make strong arguments that are your own. But apparently I have a vendetta against Amanda Knox that I've developed somehow over time.
She's younger than them. She's prettier than them. She's better than them. In her defense, let's just...
So he's saying a murderer is better than me. Okay.
Throw up some Occam's razor stuff at the beginning. 20-year-old white upper middle class exchange students from America, from Seattle, do not murder their roommates, stabbing them 47 times and slashing their throats. They don't do that.
Yeah, well, it is an unusual case, but so he's saying that pretty girls from upper middle class, I don't believe she was all that upper middle class. I would probably refer to her as middle class, but I really don't care about that so much. But it was unusual, and that was part of the sensational case. She was so pretty, and they were saying she kind of what's underneath the facade of her. And her PR team, which her father got right away, instead of getting a lawyer, he went right out and got Gregory Marat for $1 million. To make a PR campaign for her in America. So Americans' understanding of this case is very much like Devon's. And while Europeans have a much richer, deeper understanding of the case. But let's listen.
They've never done that. So what you were suggesting...
So they've never done that. So there's never been any rich... Okay, so pretty girls don't murder. All right. Well, let's start with the Ken and Barbie killers. You got Carla Homolka and Paul Bernardo. Their looks were remarked upon. I don't, this is all subjective. I don't find them particularly all that great looking, but they looked like the cookie cutter all Canadian couple. That they murdered 3 minors, sexually assaulted them, including her sister, between the years 1990 and 92. And then there's Skylar Niece's killers, Sheila Eddy and Rachel Choate. And then there is, you could say, well, this is a new phenomenon, maybe, these white rich killers. Oh, no. We have Juliet Hume, who killed with her friend Paulette Parker, that killed her mom with a rock, bludgeoned her to death. Let's see here. Then we have, let's see. Okay, there's a whole article about it. Let's see. We have Mindy Sangara. Also murdered. Darlene Gentry. Okay? So it does happen. Okay? So he's saying it's never happens, and that's just not true.
Is that something happened that has never happened before in the history of humanity. Number 2, pretty women do not murder people. Why? Okay, motive. Why would she kill her fucking roommate, who she liked and had no problems with? Why would she do that?
Well, it's great if you put it that way. It sounds good, but she did. She had a lot of problems. Everyone but Amanda says that they were at odds. Amanda was very annoying. She would play the same guitar note over and over again. She didn't clean. She smelled. She would say odd things. For example, when she worked at a cafe that Patrick Lumumba was her boss, the man she falsely accused of murder, and he was about to fire her. But when she was working there, she went up to one person and said, "Are you Jewish?" And that person said, "Yes." And she started laughing, saying, "My people killed your people." And remember MySpace? Here's her picture on MySpace. This is not evidence of murder, by the way. Please do not straw man my argument. I'm just saying people found her odd. She put this up on her MySpace page, which incidentally had the Foxy Noxy moniker. That came from her. Then she blamed it on the American media for sexualizing her. And she called this picture the Nazi within.
Now, the big chasm of nothingness that you will hear from the community that think Amanda Knox is guilty, that should be a little bit ominous. The answer is she has no reason to kill her, and she didn't kill her. In her defense...
Well, just you saying that doesn't make it so. Everyone who knew them and was around the situation said they were at odds, and you can see that Amanda Knox on Halloween desperately wanted to hang out with Meredith Kercher, and she blew her off. She wanted nothing to do with her. She was telling her friend she couldn't stand her. So, you're rewriting the case to make it easier and better for you, to make Amanda Knox look better.
Point number 3, she's white. I just want you to sit with that. She's a white woman who's pretty and young, and they don't kill people. Case closed? Okay, I mean, these are just things that are true. I'm joking a little bit.
You know what's also true, Devon? Amanda Knox DNA found on the handle of the knife, hitch of the knife. Meredith Kercher's DNA found on the blade. And Devon's been calling that a little bit of DNA, right? Then there's also the mixed DNA, meaning mixed blood in the bathroom, Philomena's room, and multiple other places. So as long as you make the murder scene just Amanda's room, looks pretty good. But there's also, consequently, no evidence of Rudy Guede in Philomena's room, the room he was supposed to have broken into.
Barely? I'm barely joking. She has no reason to kill her roommate. There's no evidence that she did. And also, this would be unbelievably extraordinary and rare for you to suggest that this happened. She's the one that called the cops. Her and her boyfriend. They're the ones that raised the alarm that something was amiss.
Let's talk about that. Did I just go to the front again? Okay, I thought I skipped forward. Let's talk about her calling the phone call to the cops. That's really interesting. So Raph called the cops and he said, there appears to be something amiss. We came back and the door was open. And when the cops came, there was Amanda Knox holding a mop. She was doing some uncharacteristic cleaning. I asked you yesterday why she was doing all this uncharacteristic cleaning. And you never answered how Rudy Guede moved the knife, the murder weapon. And one of the reasons, the murder weapon to Raffaella Solecito's apartment. And if that wasn't the murder weapon, then how did Meredith Kircher's DNA get on the tip? I mean, it would be very normal for Amanda Knox's DNA to be on the handle of that knife. Should it be used for something else? But how did Meredith Kircher's DNA get on the tip of the knife? That's a huge omission you're making. I mean, you're just making massive omissions. And when you're called out on it, you just say, "Oh, you're dumb, you're stupid, you're jealous, you're ugly."
Amanda Knox killed her roommate. Or it's convoluted. She took part in it. She was guilty in some way.
Oh, wait. Oh, I'm
The
sorry.
story morphs and changes.
To the beginning. Sorry about that. My fault.
Murder their roommates, stabbing them 47 times and slashing their throats. They don't do that. They've never done that. So what you are suggesting is that something happened that has never happened before. That should be a little bit ominous. The answer is she has no reason to kill her, and she didn't kill her. In her defense, point number 3, she's white.
Look at those crazy eyes.
I just want you to sit with that. She's a white woman who's pretty and young, and they don't kill people. Case closed? Okay, I mean, these are just things that are true. I'm joking a little bit, but barely. I'm barely joking. She has no reason to kill her roommate. There's no evidence that she did. And also, this would be unbelievably her roommate.
Oh,
her
God.
roommate. And
So that wait,
I know.
Sorry about that. So I love when he says there's no evidence. That is such an innocence fraud argument. No evidence against Julius Jones, all racism, no evidence against Rodney Reed. They were just in a consensual relationship together. See? There's witnesses. Really bad witnesses, but there's witnesses. I mean, this summation of the Amanda Knox case is as bad as if if Devon did a Rodney Reed summation by going to the Innocence Project and just like doing all their talking points. But the video is really slick and really well edited. And I love a good Devon Tracey video. Who doesn't?
20-year-old white upper middle class exchange students from America, from Seattle.
About this. Try not to do it again.
With. Why would she do that? Now, the big chasm of nothingness that you will hear from the community that think Amanda Knox is guilty, that should be a little bit ominous. The answer is she has no reason to kill her, and she didn't kill her. In her defense, point number 3, she's white. I just want you to sit with that. She's a white woman who's pretty and young, and they don't kill people. Case closed? There's no reason to kill her roommate. There's no evidence that she did. And also, this would be unbelievably extraordinary and rare for you to suggest that this happened. She's the one that called the cops. Her and her boyfriend. They're the ones that raised the alarm that something was amiss. They called her roommate's phone. They saw blood in the bathroom. They're like, what the fuck? They called the cops. No, Devon, that was part of her ingenious plan because, they panicked, but it was a whole thing. It was like sex and drugs, and it was like a demonic sort of like joint murder session. You know how.
No, I said she was doing a lot of drugs. And the reason I said she was doing a lot of drugs is because she was going through thousands of dollars a week. And I believe that this started as a fight about money. Rudy Guede says that. Now, you can disregard anything Rudy Guede says, but we know Meredith Kircher took out the rent money and it was never recovered. Her purse was found on the bed next to her. And we know that her body was staged. Why would Rudy Guede stage the scene and clean it up? What benefit to him to clean up the hallway, do massive amounts of cleaning? But yet we have Raffaello Solecito's footprint in Meredith Kircher's blood on the bath mat. And we're going to see that. It's really funny. It comes up right behind Devon's kangaroo when he's talking about Rudy Guede. And I believe he calls that Rudy Guede's footprint. The defense tried miserably and failed to make that Rudy Guede's footprint. It is a perfect replica of Raffaele Sollecito's footprint. Also, there were 2 knives. So to say Rudy did this alone, Meredith Kircher had wounds that were inflicted by 2 different knives. So he got like bored in the middle and just like switched knives. Also, she had bruises on her body and fingerprints, bruises around her mouth, fingerprints, female size fingerprints. There's also Amanda Knox's size shoe footprint in blood on Meredith Kircher's pillow. In addition, you have to think, why would Amanda Knox falsely accuse her boss, Patrick Lumumba, of this murder, let him sit in jail for 2 weeks, never say anything? She was never planning on saying anything. She never said anything. Like, oh, I'm sorry, never recanted that. But he got himself out with his own alibi. She was perfectly happy to frame the boss that was really kind to her. Psychopath. That's what that is. That's psychopathic behavior. I mean,
That happens all the time. Yeah, totally. Now, also, you got to factor this in. In the aftermath, check that this is a smoking gun in terms of the guilt of Amanda Knox. In the aftermath of the police showing up and they found out that there was a dead body, her roommate was dead, murdered. Look at her reaction. Oh, look at her. Look at the way she's looking. And then look, she kisses her boyfriend, or her boyfriend kisses her.
This is something I've never talked about once. I've never brought up. And the only people that talk about this kissing, are Amanda Knox's supporters. But let's talk about their behavior after the murder. So less than 24 hours after the murder, and it's really interesting that the CCTV pictures of this have been scrubbed from the internet. So thanks, Gregori Marat, for that. Can't find them, but they used to exist. I remember them because I've been following the case that long. She was holding up the underwear saying, I can't wait to go back home and have sex that night. Now, you can say, oh, she's young. That's just a young person who's in love with her boyfriend. But you can't say that that's normal behavior for a young woman who's just had her friend who she had no problems with murdered. And she saw her dead body, had her throat slit. She's not worried. She's off. And when the whole town went to the memorial service, or the majority of the town, let's put it that way, Amanda Knox and Raph stayed home and ordered pizza. So, you can make it about this kissing thing. I really have never talked about it. It's totally unimportant, but Amanda Knox supporters like to talk about it because they use this as like, oh, it was so misconstrued. It wasn't. Nobody talks about this but Amanda Knox supporters.
What? That's not how you're supposed to react. No. This is a sign of guilt. Oh my God. Silly me. I must be totally wrong about this. That's Devon. Devon is just like one of those guys.
Not for this
the
point.
second a black person is involved, he's like, oh, the black guy's guilty. He did it. It's something wrong with Devon. It's like in the inner recesses of his mind, it's like a poison. He's a racist dude. Like, I don't know what to tell you. He thinks black people are guilty just because they're black. I mean,
I've never called Devon racist. I said he's someone who has described himself as someone who recognizes patterns. And what I said was that without doing your due diligence, you jumped on a case that you thought fit a pattern. Black guy killing Meredith Kircher, white woman. And I don't think Meredith Kircher's name is mentioned more than once in this, which is odd for someone who cares so much about victims.
that's basically it. Unfortunately, that's not it at all, and you're totally wrong. Of course, you're going to blame the messenger, but here's the message anyway. Rudy Guede, isn't that a DJ? Rudy Guede. I don't know how to pronounce it. Rudy Guede. He was sentenced to 30 years in prison for the murder of Meredith Kircher because he's black and for no other reason. His sentence was reduced to
I've literally never said Rudy Guede is innocent. I've never said that he was convicted because he was black. That doesn't even make any sense. He took a plea deal. So I guess you would be saying he didn't fight the charges. He was innocent and just took a plea deal for fun. I don't know. I've never said that. I've always said it was a group crime. The three of them were involved. And I agree with you. Rudy Guede is involved, and there is a lot of evidence against him. And Devon's going to go through some of that evidence. Some of it is exaggerated, and we'll deal with it bit by bit. But some of it is absolutely correct, and I can't argue with it. So it's like he puts this on like it's an own, but while never answering any of my questions or acknowledging any of the real evidence against Amanda Knox. This is how innocence fraud is done. I hope everybody's paying attention.
16 years on appeal and later confirmed by Italy's Supreme Court. Yeah, and he's out of jail. He got out of jail in 2021. Still hasn't admitted to this shit.
See,
it's unbelievable.
Right there. Do you see that? Do you see that? We want to go back a little bit. That is Raf's footprint on the bath mat. There it is. See it? See it? Right there. Half a footprint. That is a perfect replica of Raf's foot. Rudy Guede's did not fit. Like the Cinderella slipper. That fit perfectly along with the DNA of Raffaello Sollecito on Meredith Kircher's bra clasp, Amanda Knox's lamp in the room. So if Rudy Guede did this alone, what he just like decided things were a little dark, he was going to go in and get Amanda Knox's lamp from her room and put it on the floor. There's also drops of blood found under the bed. Like someone might have been cleaning the scene, looking for something, a ripped out earring perhaps. That's Tuesday Money's theory.
Hasn't admitted to this shit. It's unbelievable. You kill someone, you put in, 16 years? The hell? Not even that. Rudy Guede was a drug dealer. Well, that doesn't mean you're a murderer.
Just like Jay Wilds, you get less time when you admit what you've done and take a plea deal. It's advantageous to people who own up, or any kind of legal system. It's advantageous to people who own up to what they've done and take the punishment for it. Amanda Knox and Raffaello Sollecito never owned up to it. And there's a really interesting part of, you may think like, oh, Amanda Knox's defense and Raf's defense was always that Rudy did this alone. They were in bed sleeping. Well, how do we know that they weren't in bed sleeping? Right? Well, there was a witness who saw them talking on the what's called the piazza behind the house. And let's look at, if Rudy did this alone, let's look at what he'd have to do. He'd have to, so this is Philomena's room right here. Do you see that? Right on the left, that she lived on the second story. So he would have to climb up the wall, Spider-Man style. It was muddy. There was no mud or footprints or anything on that wall. And they knew by the way that the glass fell that the window was broken with the shutters closed. So he's also incredibly good at going through, not only climbing the wall like Spider-Man, but going through the glass without cutting himself, not once, and going through shutters like, I don't know, like a ghost maybe?
Murder that was well known by the police. He became a suspect in the Meredith Kircher murder after his bloody fingerprint was discovered.
Oh, this is such an own. Oh, it's such an own.
Well, I mean, probably planted there from Amanda Knox, right? When police tried to contact Guede, they discovered he had fled to Germany.
Like?
He was stopped in Germany trying to board a train without a ticket.
This was like if you did like some 4th grade project when you thought you knew everything about a case from one lousy book source. And you handed it in and you're like, oh wow, I really got it. And you get back and you get like a D- because the source you used is so poor and you did such a poor job. Like you skimmed it. And you handed it in thinking, oh, this is amazing. It's an amazing project.
Immediately extradited back to Italy, Guede was confronted with overwhelming DNA evidence that put him at the crime scene and at the time of the murder. Huh. Well, he's probably innocent, and yeah, I'm still sticking with the Amanda Knox. I mean, she
No
kissed
one
her
ever
boyfriend
said that.
outside.
See, so
You
he's
saw
making
that,
a
right?
false dichotomy. So to believe Amanda Knox is guilty, you have to believe Rudy Guede is innocent, and that's just not so. This is a group murder.
Guede lied repeatedly throughout the case, modifying his stories based on news reports as it best suited his defense. Guede was recorded during a Skype conversation before his arrest, telling a friend that the reports on the news were incorrect. He said Amanda Knox was not present the night the crime took place. After his arrest, Guede realized he had no way out and repeatedly modified his story to...
Yeah, they love to talk about that. Amanda Knox, he went right to the Amanda Knox propaganda. They love to talk about that Skype conversation, but there's a lot of things like, oh no, the crime scene wasn't like that when I left. Oh no, she was fully clothed. He knew a lot of things about the crime scene that were all staged and changed by someone. And why we think that someone is Amanda Knox. So, also another argument that's made is, of course, Amanda Knox lived there. Of course, her DNA is going to be there. So it's going to be on the handle of the knife found in Raph's apartment with Meredith Kircher's DNA on the blade. Okay. All right. Let's talk about Philomena's room. Why we know that that is blood. So it's mixed DNA that lights up under luminol. And luminol revealed multiple bare footprints, woman's footprint, size footprints, Raph size footprints, going through the hall. Why would a murderer feel so good that he would like take off his shoes? So you're saying those are Rudy Gude's footprints? It's, lots of the scene was cleaned. And, the logical inference from anyone who's looked at any true crime cases is if you're cleaning a scene and you're arranging it, one of the things that Manini picked up on was that Meredith Kircher's body was covered with a duvet. And when you cover a body, it indicates a relationship with the victim, and it also indicates shame and regret. Women often do that. But it's really the totality of all the evidence. So why wasn't there any kind of mixed DNA that lit up under luminol of Meredith and, say, Philomena, Meredith and Laura? Those are the other roommates. It's only Amanda Knox, and only Amanda Knox falsely accused her boss. Only Amanda Knox's alibi fell through. So originally, both she and Raph said they were in bed asleep, and the computer activity does not support that. It shows somebody on Raph's computer very early in the morning listening to very lively music. So we know that they weren't asleep. And why did also Amanda Knox was seen very early in the morning at a bodega waiting for it to open, going in and buying bleach. That was never used at trial because he couldn't be certain it was Amanda Knox, but her piercing blue eyes would stick out among the dark Italians in that neighborhood. Her looks were unusual. So, and there's some difference between what Amanda Knox was doing in Perugia and what Meredith Kircher was doing in Perugia. Amanda Knox was taking one class, getting no credit. It was just like for fun. And Meredith Kircher was taking a full credited course load. And so already you can see how that could already create tension between two people. If one person has very little responsibilities, and from what everyone who knew Amanda Knox at that time said, she liked to drink heavily, she liked to party. She liked to, flirt with boys, go out, very normal stuff. But if you're having a serious, workload, someone playing the same guitar note over and over and over again could be very annoying. Someone who smelled terrible, someone who said awkward, weird things. So, and kind of like had a strange sense of humor, just a very callous sense of humor that turned people off. And you're living in very close quarters with them. You can see how this is like, this villa became a pressure cooker.
Help his own defense. His latest story suggests he was being intimate with Meredith, consensually no doubt, in her room when he suddenly needed to use the bathroom. While he was in the bathroom, Amanda and Raffaele came in and murdered Meredith.
Nobody's saying that. No one is saying that. I mean, no one believes that story. Everyone believes that the three of them did it together. And the reason why Meredith Kircher was a brown belt and she had no defensive wounds. And every court has accepted that. No court accepts one person did it alone. Not one. Just like in the Central Park 5 case. No expert who has looked at Tricia Melee and her wounds thought one person did that. Ditto Meredith Kircher and her wounds.
Of course, none of his stories were accepted as his conviction has been finalized by the Italian Supreme Court. Now, the reason he said he went to the bathroom was because he dropped a piece of shit in the toilet, a floater, did not flush it, as a sort of calling card. Now, the guy's African. I think he's from the Ivory Coast. And, there's a lot of open defecation in Africa. So we have to get...
Who was also who was also reported to not flush the toilet was Amanda Knox. That was a big part of the problems between her and Meredith. She didn't do any of the chores. She didn't clean. She didn't flush the toilet. She kept a little dildo that was like a keychain that attached to her thing out in the open in the bathroom. It was distasteful. She just made people uncomfortable. And that is not proof of murder. It's just, I'm giving you, when you say that there's no reason and they were friends, that's just not true.
Give him credit for using the toilet, but he couldn't stick the landing, he couldn't flush the toilet, which does become a problem when you just raped and murdered a woman. So the overwhelming DNA evidence, a lot of that is literally a log of his shit. But, he dovetailed that into his story of he had to use the bathroom suddenly while having sex, and then Amanda Knox and her boyfriend came in and killed this woman, stabbed her.
No, nobody's ever saying that. No one's ever saying. They're saying all three were involved. It was a group gang assault. And by the wounds, if you knew about the wounds on Meredith Kircher's body, but you're not going to talk about the wounds because you don't know about them. So it's not going to be really dealt with. But she didn't have, she had restraining wounds and no defensive wounds. Bruises, women's fingerprints, that kind of thing. And a hand was placed over her mouth so she couldn't scream, and 2 different knife wounds on her neck. So unless you're going to say Rudy Guede came equipped with 2 knives and decided to switch it up in the middle, it's
47 times. He came out and was like, what's going on? I didn't do nothing. Amazing. Oh, all you Amanda Knox is guilty people out there are so goddamn dumb. It's embarrassing. But let's continue. This is not a damning case yet, is it? We got a bloody fingerprint and we got DNA evidence of him at the crime scene. He's a drug dealer, but I mean...
Isn't it funny? For someone so dumb, why would Devon be on my show twice if I'm so dumb, if I'm so embarrassing? He would seek me out to meet up in New York. Someone so dumb and embarrassing. Is that odd? Whoop, oh, darn it. I'm sorry, guys.
Yeah, I'm still sticking with the Amanda Knox. I mean, she kissed her boyfriend outside.
Literally no one made that argument.
Guede lied repeatedly throughout the case, modifying his stories based on news reports as it best suited his defense. Guede was recorded during a Skype conversation before his arrest, telling a friend that the reports on the news were incorrect. He said Amanda Knox was not present the night the crime took place. After his arrest, Guede realized he had no way out and repeatedly modified his story to help his own defense. His latest story suggests he was being intimate with Meredith, consensually no doubt, in her room when he suddenly needed to use the bathroom. While he was in the bathroom, Amanda and Raffaele came in and murdered Meredith. Of course, none of his stories were accepted as his conviction has been finalized by the Italian Supreme Court. Now, the reason he said he went to the bathroom was because he dropped a piece of shit in the toilet.
I'm sorry, I went back too far. I'm sorry.
Raped by him. The
You get to
sad
hear
truth
this
is
twice.
that Guede will be eligible for work release in 2014. Okay, he's already out of prison. How can we say with complete certainty that Rude Guede murdered Meredith Kircher? Unlike Amanda and Raffaele, Guede was arrested after the evidence collected at the crime scene was analyzed, and that evidence points right to him. No one else, just him. There was no rush to judgment when it came to arresting Rudy Guede. Investigators found Guede's handprint on a...
Yeah, just because Injustice in Perugia, the Amanda Knox propaganda site, says it doesn't make it true. No court accepts that, Devon. So Devon Tracey saying he knows more than the entire Italian justice system. He might actually support that. Support that statement. You might think he does. But you know, they looked at all the evidence, and even the court that let her go said that this was a group crime. Amanda Knox was there at the scene, and she washed Meredith Kircher's blood off her hands. Why? Why was she bleeding? And we know that she admits that she had an ear that was very, she called it an earring. Tuesday's theory is, of course, that her earring was ripped out in the struggle. It looks very angry and red. And we know from the evidence that they were both bleeding at the same time. Why? And why is there any other kind of mixed DNA that lights up under luminol in any other room in the house? And there is also no DNA, no fingerprints found of Amanda Knox in Amanda Knox's room. The lamp had also been wiped down. They really wanted to wipe all traces of themselves out of this. Unfortunately, the police came a little too quickly because of the cell phone. So first the cell phone police came, and then they went, oh crap, we're going to have to call the police. And that's when that call was made to the police very late in the game, not when they discovered it. And they tried to delay as long as possible. Why would Rudy Guede lock Meredith's door? And why didn't Amanda want the police to knock down Meredith's door? The rest of the roommates were like, no, she never locks her door. Knock it down. Amanda was like, oh no, it never happens. Yeah, oh no, she does it all the time. No big deal. She wanted to delay the finding of Meredith Kircher's body. And when she was brought to the police station, either one of her roommates said, I hope she didn't suffer too much. And Amanda said something like to the effect of, she had her throat slit. What do you think? And she couldn't have known that. She showed knowledge of the crime scene when she said that. So it wasn't just her doing cartwheels and splits in the police station that everyone found so inappropriate. But I just find it so odd, Devon, that you would rather not admit you're wrong and be a murderer apologist and hold water for Amanda Knox and just admit you're wrong and admit that you didn't do your due diligence on this case.
A pillowcase found under the victim's body. The fingerprints led police to their suspect. Okay. The evidence of Guede's guilt is irrefutable and should have been more than sufficient to secure a life sentence. Guede admitted he was in Meredith's room at the time of the attack. His DNA, along with Meredith's blood, was found on Meredith's purse. Okay, so his DNA is on her purse. His shoe prints set in Meredith's blood were found in the bedroom and in the hallway leading to the front door. As mentioned above, his handprint in Meredith's blood was found on a pillowcase underneath her body. Most importantly, Guede's DNA was found inside Meredith's body.
Right. Doesn't that sound? So it was a sexual assault. So we don't know what happened. It's going to have to be a mystery. But what we do know is not one person did it alone. And no, he wasn't a random stranger. Like, oh, they knew him. He was known. Rudy Guede played basketball with the men downstairs. One of them was Giacomo. Now, Amanda Knox really liked Giacomo. Giacomo wasn't interested in Amanda Knox. He was interested in Meredith. That burned Amanda Knox up. This is a concept Devon has brought up in this very video. Jealousy, terrible jealousy. Meredith Kircher was brilliant and accomplished and beautiful, and men loved her. I mean, you know, Amanda Knox PR really did a good job of kind of making her the girl next door and so likable, and everyone loved her. She was not well liked. She smelled. She was annoying. That does not mean she was a murderer. That's not proof of murder, but I'm just giving you the kind of little bit of the background of what's going on. But if you don't do your due diligence and run to basically the equivalent of the Innocence Project website, and you can see he's just reading from it because he can't talk about any of these points off the top of his head because he doesn't know. He just is kind of like repeating it. And it's a really dangerous thing to do. And telling his audience, this is the case. This is the case, guys. There was just no evidence. Forget all the things. There's no evidence. And it's not like he doesn't know about it. He knows about it because I've told him about it more than once. So he knows about it. He just doesn't want to accept it because it doesn't fit his narrative. For whatever reason, he really likes Amanda Knox. Maybe it's that, I don't know. Maybe he just finds that Nazi within too irresistible.
Okay, let's just review. Bloody handprint. Guede's DNA on her bloody purse. A bloody shoe print in the crime scene in the hallway and on the rug in the bathroom, all tied directly to Guede. Then the log of shit and his sperm up inside her. I don't know, guys. I don't know. You know, call me old-fashioned, but I did see Amanda Knox kiss her boyfriend while she was traumatized after her roommate had been murdered.
No one made that point, Devon. You keep doing it. It's no.
Guede also.
That's no substitution for real research. Just making that point and making a kind of straw man argument out of the kissing thing. I mean, you really rushed this video out way, way, way too soon. It's so bad. It's so ill-informed. It's so poor. We all love a good Devon Tracey video, but the quality of the research is so poor.
Also had a history of break-ins similar to that seen at the cottage. 1 week prior to the murder, Guede was caught breaking into a nursery school.
There was no sperm found. That's another Amanda Knox propaganda point. I mean, this is just pathetic.
By the school's owner, Maria Del Prato. When she arrived unexpectedly during off hours with 2 repairmen, Del Prato, along with
Let's talk about Maria Del Prato and his break-in there. You know, when she got up to testify, she testified she gave Guede the key. You wouldn't know that because you haven't really looked into it. But Rudy Guede was the only one of the 3 without any criminal record. And that does not mean he's innocent. But I'm just saying he wasn't the super villain, career criminal break-in master that Amanda Knox supporters like to make him out to be. That is what I'm saying. That is her testimony. But there was no document. That wasn't in the documentary, so Devon's not going to know about it.
repairman kept Guede at the nursery and called the police. When police searched Guede's backpack, they found a laptop and cell phone that had recently been stolen from a Peruvian law office. The break-in at the law office was very similar to the break-in at the cottage, as Guede entered through an elevated window broken with a rock in both occasions. In the nursery school break-in, Guede was found in possession of a large knife, said to be stolen from the school's kitchen. He was also in possession of a woman's...
Actually, this is totally untrue. So there was a break-in with a guy who accused him of breaking in with a knife, but he never showed up to court, and he was like totally chewed out by the judge for making the story up and wasting everyone's time. You can make with that what you will. But I love how these people, he repeats this like it's fact. It's so funny. Oh, Devon. You gotta love Devon, don't you?
Gold watch, which tied him to another break-in occurring 4 days earlier. Guede's break-in at the nursery no doubt made him a suspect in a previous burglary of the nursery in which cash had been stolen. Okay, painting a certain picture here. Devon, why are you so racist? It's like crazy. In the month...
I've never called Devon racist. You know, he called my stream a hate stream. If anything, it was a love stream. Devon, it's a love stream. Because I don't know. I don't, my feelings don't go both ways. I don't have these intense feelings that you do, these intense feelings of hatred that you have for me. Sorry. I just think this is sad. It's like a child. It's like a child that's so incompetent. It's just sad.
Prior to Meredith Kircher's murder, Guede had gone on a crime spree. His activities were no secret to the police, yet they never managed to properly investigate Guede and never took him into custody. Why? The sad reality is, if the police had done their job properly, Meredith Kircher would still be alive today, and Amanda Knox and Rafaele Solicito would have never been wrongfully convicted. To review, the evidence against Rudy Guede. Guede admitted he was in the room. Guede's DNA was found in and on Meredith's body. Guede's DNA, along with Meredith's blood, was found on Meredith's purse. Guede's excrement was found in the toilet. Guede's shoe prints set in Meredith's blood were found in the bedroom and hallway. Guede's handprint in Meredith's blood was found on a pillowcase in Meredith's room. Guede had a cut on his right hand that was still...
Okay, so let's talk about that. You know what was on the pillowcase in Meredith's room? Size 7 shoe print. Guess who wore a size 7 shoe? Amanda Knox. Why would you make up a story and falsely accuse the boss that was very kind to you? And not only falsely accuse him, let him sit in prison and never say anything? And why would you tell your mom on a prison visit, Raph has this knife I'm worried about? And why would Raffaello Solecito in his prison diary make up a story about how Meredith Kircher was over and they were all cooking together and he pricked Meredith Kircher's arm and drew blood and then apologized, and Meredith Kircher apparently said to him, "Oh, not a problem. It's okay that you pricked me with a tip of a knife and caused blood. It's not a problem." Why would you make up that story? Now, of course, Raffaello Solecito says he was out of his mind. I was going crazy in prison. But why go crazy in that way, in a way that looks like, from an outsider looking in, it looks like you're tailoring the evidence.
Visible when he was arrested. Guede fled the country.
No, she never has
31%
recanted. Amanda Knox has never recanted the Lumumba accusation. Never. And she is a convicted slanderer. So she got convicted of slander. There's not really like a good American kind of translation. Slander. It's like, we understand what slander is, but it's like a false accusation. And she was asked to pay him $30,000. She's never paid it. She got millions, I think of $2 million for her book, never paid him. No matter how much money she makes, she had a GoFundMe for her wedding, never paid him. And, this is a good time to bring up You know, you may think that Team Amanda Knox has always been consistent with the story that she did it alone, that there was that Rudy did it alone, that she did alone. Nobody's saying that Amanda Knox did this alone, or Raph did it alone, or Rudy did it alone. I'm saying it's a group crime. But in 2010, a mobster came out, and Amanda Knox supporters were like really excited about this. And he said, "Oh, you know, Amanda Knox is totally innocent. And I know because my brother told me he was in there and he was supposed to be, my brother was sent to steal art and they had the wrong thing. And uh, Meredith ended up getting killed. And what came of that, so they were like really excited. Let me just show you. They were like really excited at the time. Like this could free Amanda Knox, this explosive new testimony. He went and testified to this Avello, this Italian mobster, okay, to this. And they were just like thrilled. See, I told you all along. See how stupid you Amanda Knox guilty people are. Told you all along. Well, this guy turned out this is so wild. This guy was a mobster who wanted a sex change, and Raffaello Solecito's family was alleged to have offered him money for this testimony. It doesn't make any money why this any logical sense why this guy would testify to this out of the goodness of his heart, make up the story out of the goodness of his heart. He was also in the same prison as Raph. And it was like a really embarrassing part of the story for Team Amanda Knox. So they haven't always had this like consistent one attacker thing that the court has never accepted.
You think he's innocent? Or, sorry, you think Amanda's guilty. Oh, yeah, the case against Amanda, rock solid. I mean, she clearly joined this guy in a rape and stabbing of a roommate. I mean, duh. Did you not hear that they found Amanda Knox's DNA in her apartment? I mean, that's out there.
See,
wow.
He's being purposely deceptive there. He knows it's not just DNA, and it's not just in her apartment. It's on the hitch of the knife, Meredith Kircher's DNA on the tip. Then there's her DNA mixed with Meredith Kircher's DNA in multiple places in the house. And that DNA lights up under luminol. But if you call it mixed blood, which is what it is, which is the logical inference, Amanda Knox supporters will lose their mind and say it's not mixed blood. It's just mixed blood. It's just mixed DNA that lights up under luminol. And Amanda Knox was rubbing carrots all over her feet, root vegetables. That's what it was. That, and she was eating a lot of truffles, and that's why her money was dwindling at a rapid pace.
Next level. All of the evidence at the crime scene pointed to Rudy Guede. Amanda and Raffaele left no evidence at the crime scene. Why? Because Amanda and Raffaele were not there. Rudy Guede murdered Meredith Kircher, and he acted alone. That is just
like literally no court accepts that Amanda Knox was not there. Even the court that let her walk by politically throwing out all the DNA evidence, just like the Central Park Five. We're supposed to forget all the evidence, is just throw it out for political reasons to make everyone feel good. It's a feel-good story. Devon Tracey seems to not know how innocence fraud works. That's how it works. You make a new story by ignoring evidence. You have a whole new case. You don't have to deal with it. You've just crafted in slick media a whole new case for the American public. They rally behind the killer. The victim is forgotten. You have to really obscure the victim. That's really part of it, because she's just some girl, as Devon described her on Twitter, Meredith Kircher, just some girl, not important. Nobody, doesn't matter. It's Amanda Knox who's the real victim. You put that out. She's the real victim. She's the one to focus on. And it's a righteous cause. Devon is leading a righteous cause to promote the innocence of this killer, because he doesn't want to talk about any of the real evidence. And it's not like he doesn't know it. He's just crafting a whole new case for you. You know, this is innocence fraud media at its best.
A little message in a bottle from
its worth.
sanity, from the sane world, from the this is what happened world. And to all the dipshit fucking moronic losers out there who think Amanda Knox is guilty of this, you are a dumpster fire, stupid piece of shit.
Oh.
You're a jealous cunt, and
Oh,
you're
thanks,
irretrievably
Devon.
slow. But keep the conspiracy theory up. You're all demented bitches.
Oh,
Long live
thanks,
Amanda
Dad.
Knox and fuck Rudy Guede.
Oh, is that what you learned in Eagle Scouts, Devon? Is that what you learned with your great moral fiber? To insult people who make you look ill-informed like that by calling women bitches? Wow, you must have really had a really good relationship with the women in your life. Wow. So that was that. Oh, it's so funny. It's just like a child, isn't it? Just like a child having a tantrum. So wild. Oh, we made it through. Thank you for thank you for sticking with it. If you made it that far, that was really so embarrassing. You would think, I mean, if it were me, first of all, I wouldn't be promoting the innocence of killer like Amanda Knox with so much evidence against her. But if I had done that, I would have taken a little bit more time. I wouldn't have rushed that out overnight. That was so ill-advised. It's so bad. But it's kind of like, it just kind of like warms my heart a little bit. It's like, it's so childlike. It's really so it's like a child having a temper tantrum and putting together something they think is great because they don't know any better. Oh. Okay. So Tuesday.
Oh my God.
We made it through that.
Oh, this is a massive punch in the gut, Devon. What is going on, buddy?
So you're a Devon Tracey fan, no?
Oh God, since like 2014.
We're all Devon Tracey fans.
Yes,
right?
everyone's a Devon fan. But my God, this is God, what is he
Maybe
doing?
make a t-shirt. This CUNT hearts megalomaniac. Censor TV creators. That should be my new thing.
Oh, I love it.
Funny.
I love it.
Because I really do. It's like I really do love difficult people, but this is like beyond. It's just so childish.
Well, I mean, for me, it's like, look, I have disagreements with people, but I don't just go throw them under the bus and. It's a case. It's not the end of the world, okay? It's not the end of the world. But what kills me the most is that every single hallmark of these innocence fraud cases, and by the way, I just want to reiterate and state very clearly that, Roberta, you have been on the tip of this, of innocence fraud. This is something that I learned from you. This is when I learned about the Amanda Knox case, I didn't know anything about, that there could possibly be some purposeful movement. But with all the information we have, it's undeniable at this point. But I mean, he sort of kind of picked up on that and went with it. And he's developed some great videos on a number of cases. Central Park 5, probably
excellent.
Excellent. Yeah, the greatest.
And a lot of those things, I was the one who talked to him about the Emmett Till case.
Right.
Told him about innocence fraud. And what a way to thank me with that.
Right.
You CUNT, you're horrible. Just because he can't say he's wrong. I mean,
listen,
I think it's really
people were wrong about this case. A lot of people were, because it was before, we knew about all these documentaries and stuff. This was a while back, right? But you start looking at it and it's got, like I said, it's got all the hallmarks, the saturation of the media everywhere you go. She's innocent. She's innocent. When I first started learning about this case, everywhere I looked, it was she's innocent. She's innocent. And my spidey senses went off and I'm thinking, wait a minute, if she's innocent, why did Italy convict her twice? And that's when you start going to the court documents, the records, the testimony, and you realize, wait a minute, She wasn't interrogated 30 hours.
You didn't put that in. Yeah, I was surprised Devon didn't put that in. I was really surprised he left that
Right.
out. You know,
Right.
but he didn't really deal with any of the questions or the evidence I went over yesterday.
No, nothing. Not even a point. He just read from an article that was made by some,
From
I don't know, sycophant.
Murder and Perversion. No, that is the Amanda Knox. I believe that's Frank Sparzo.
Oh, yeah.
That's his
I'm bad with
website.
names. Yeah.
He was really part of the journalists that were very close. So in exchange for supporting Knox, they would get information and
Interviews and
right and kind of scoops that would bring people to their website. It's really it's like, because Devon didn't really research the source that he was using. He just kind of like went with it, like, well, it says here, this is good for my narrative, so I'm going to use it. Just like the Innocence Project website would be good for your narrative if you were, trying to make an innocent piece of innocence fraud propaganda about, I don't know, Central Park 5 or Rodney Reed or Julius Jones. All those things would sound good on the surface, but when you know more, it looks really bad for you. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's kind of like, but I think it's really instructive. I like talking about being wrong on these cases. I like talking about being fooled on these cases because it shows that they're good. They're good. They're good at what they do. They use the same techniques over and over again. There's no shame in the game of saying you've been fooled, but Devon Tracey has taken this like it's a personal, like almost like a kind of like, I'm going to lead the charge. I'm going to do the righteous thing by promoting the innocence of this really, really disturbed killer.
Right.
And while saying that I'm doing that, like I'm holding water, Rudy Guede, I have no problems. He's definitely guilty. I'm just saying he's not the master career criminal break-in artist that the Amanda Knox supporters like to make him out to be. That's all.
This is what innocence fraud does. They make straw man, and they tear down the straw man. They claim victory. That's what they do every single time. And I always go back to the West Memphis 3 case and compare it to Amanda Knox because there's so many bizarre similarities. Obviously, multiple suspects we have involved. And what's one of the first things that we hear about West Memphis 3? They were targeted because they wore Metallica t-shirts. And, everyone in the 90s had a Metallica t-shirt. I think you'd be odd if you didn't have one, right? But no, they make this straw man and nobody is saying that they're guilty because of a Metallica t-shirt. And what did Devon do? He pointed to the kissing video, the video of Rafael Celestito and Amanda Knox kissing each other. Nobody uses that as an argument for her guilt. Nobody.
Well, you can't say nobody anymore. I mean, nobody of any real merit. Just Amanda Knox supporters use it. Only Amanda Knox supporters make that argument and claim Amanda Knox guilty. People are obsessed with it.
Exactly.
I don't care about the kissing at all. It's a kaleidoscope. Some people see guilt. Some people see, she doesn't look happy there, but she also doesn't look newly showered and washed.
No, she does not. And I love the fact that you brought up she stank because this is a point that the police immediately noticed. She said she had just gotten out of the shower and yet they're looking at her like, you kind of smell. You just took a shower. That doesn't make too much sense. And they pointed that out in their report. It's right there in black and white. So I was shocked. I was very shocked. I hope that Devon.
I hope he takes it down. It's so embarrassing. It's really so childish and embarrassing.
I mean, listen.
But actually, you know what? I have a copy of it. It lives on. It lives on in my computer forever.
It lives on. No, I hope that he does go through it. Go to the documents. Don't believe us. I always tell people, don't believe what I say. I don't want you to believe what I say. I want you to go to the source. Go to the source evidence. Put in the work. and you will come away with undeniable facts about this case that show that more than one person was there. Even the experts that testified for Raffaele and the expert that testified for Amanda, one said there was evidence that she was attacked from the front. The other said she was attacked from the back, which just tells me that the prosecution is correct, that she was attacked from both the front and back. She had almost no defensive wounds. There were two knives involved. We know there were two knives involved. Whether you want to believe the, DNA or what, throw that out, fine. Mm-hmm. But they know that there were two knives involved. We know enough about science to know that one had a different depth than the other. One had there were two different blade sides, okay? Rudy Guede didn't hold her and have no defense wounds. And, one person did not do this. Mm-hmm. It's overwhelming amount of evidence. It's a massive amount of evidence. And then when you look at the, Philomena's room, right? They obviously initially thought it was a stage break-in. I mean, that's what the evidence shows. You have glass on top of objects that have already been spewed around the room. Okay. Mm-hmm. Now, if we're going to listen to the Amanda Knox supporters who say there was no evidence of her in the room, well, guess what? There's no evidence of Rudy Guede in Philomena's room. Zero.
Well, there is evidence of Amanda Knox in the room. There's her lamp right there.
I'm just going by there.
DNA evidence of the room that she was doing a lot of cleaning in. Yeah. But what was her lamp, which was her only light source? What was it doing on the floor in Meredith Kircher's room?
Yeah.
They weren't friends. I mean, as much as Devon wants to run with that narrative because he loves to hear Amanda Knox say it, no one says that. No one says they were friends. Yeah.
They were not good friends. I know that they tried to befriend each other. I know that, they were roommates. I know Meredith, from what I understood, Meredith was trying to include her in a couple of things. And, hence they went to that chocolate fair or whatever the hell. And that's where she met Raffaele. But even Meredith leaves her there because she doesn't want to be around Amanda. Amanda annoyed everybody. And then there was the incident. Help me out here because it's been a while, but there was an incident at the bar, and didn't Amanda throw a drink on somebody? They threw her out, and Meredith talked them to get her back into the place. Do you remember that? It was a club.
Oh, I don't remember that.
I mean,
they met. They were all partying in that club, and that's where Rudy was there. Yeah. Yep. Yeah,
and
no, they knew him. He was friends with his downstairs neighbors. He played basketball with them. This is not a stranger.
No,
they knew him.
It's not. And he did have drugs. We know that Amanda had drugs. Getting back to the drug part, I mean, we know Raffaele Celestito was using. We know that Amanda's bank account was depleting. I don't even remember if this was something that was testified to, but I know that one of these sites had gone over her bank records, and that's where they noticed this huge discrepancy. And later on, whoever she was talking to, the guy that she had a tryst with on the train to Perugia.
Yes, the drug dealer that she had sex with on the train.
She was still in contact with him. And I believe he was the one that was busted with some big drug thing. Do you remember that? It was later on.
Yes, that's right. And Amanda Knox's phone number was in his phone.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. Exactly. No, there's a lot of circumstantial evidence.
Wait, did I finish about the mobster? So the reason the mobster, I'm sorry, I didn't get to the most amazing part. I stopped before I got to the most amazing part of the mobster story. So this is one of these most amazing stories. So what came out was that he was offered money to testify, to make up the story, to get Amanda and Raph off, of course. And consequently, there's the ice cream truck again. I don't know if you guys can hear that. But he basically, what came out is that this mobster wanted a sex change.
Yes. I remember this too.
Be his sex change money.
Yeah.
And So that's why he was, it just was such an embarrassment. Did I get to that? I can't even remember if I got.
Yes. Yeah.
I just
We
I
did
thought,
talk about that.
but I find that just like amazing. But when that came out, when he testified, the press was like treating that like it was like oh, see, we told you all along, Amanda Knox, Foxy Knoxy, good girls like this don't do crimes like that. And that's not true. It's just such a surface shortcut to
Well,
thinking of looking at a case. You have to look at all the totality of the evidence.
right. And we were talking about this before because I would agree. I would agree that it would be very odd and unusual. So then we have to ask ourselves, okay, but why did the police suspect her? Because they followed the evidence. Because anyone who approaches this case, you do sort of have these biases that you carry with you, that the young girl who's a foreign exchange student, she's not going to do anything. She's very innocent. You're going to have that perception.
Mhm.
But then when you dig deeper, and the fact that, they're shutting off their phones at the same time all night, and they've never done that before. It just so happens to be the night that Meredith is murdered. They just so happen to be
Right.
there.
Right. So they shut
just
off their
so
phones
happen-
at a certain time the night before the murder, and then they
Yeah.
turn them on. I said yesterday, boy, is
In
it
the
hard to
morning.
think and talk at the same time sometimes. They
Right.
turn them on. I said off,
Right.
turn them on at the same time the next
Right.
morning at 6:10 the next morning. So, there's lots of very odd things. Why did they change their story so much? What was that about?
Well,
What was going on with
He-
why would an innocent person do that?
No, wait. Did he didn't even cover that she had blamed her boss, did he?
No, that Patrick Lumumba, the other black guy, was
Yeah.
totally left out of this.
It was
I'm not
completely
so
left
sure
out.
Devon knows about Patrick Lumumba.
I
He
don't
didn't know Amanda
even.
Knox implicated herself and put herself in at the scene of the
Well,
murder with her own confession.
Well, even worse though, he said in the video that they called the police and they raised the flag. No, they didn't.
No, the police came first
No.
about the phones.
The postal police came first.
Mhm.
Then it was determined because they wrote a record of when they arrived at the cottage. Okay. And then here's Rafael Isolicito. Oh, hello. No, nothing stolen, but there's a broken window. This happens later. This happens after the fact. And they testified that Amanda and Rafael went off into her room alone at that exact time that they were calling the actual well, he called his sister first, right? And then he called the Cabarini. So and you mentioned this yesterday. How would he know if nothing was stolen? That's ridiculous.
He's like, no, nothing's been taken. How does he know what the other roommates have? I mean, he might know what Amanda Knox has, but he's not going to know what Philomena and Laura have, what jewelry they have, and there was nothing taken. That's also the other thing. They like to call Rudy Guede like a career burglar. Let's look at this. Let's look at the scene just like one more time.
Yeah.
Together so we can really look at the villa and look at how it's situated. Hold on,
Right.
there's so many pictures here. Hold on. So the one on the further left is Philomena's room.
Yeah.
And to give you an idea of what that looked like, there we go.
Now wait a minute. We got to make clear the shutters were closed according to Philomena.
Right.
So in order for that glass to break by a rock, and that was a huge ass rock, by the way. I don't know if you got a picture of that rock.
No.
Okay. But I want people to understand this about these shutters. He would have had to have climbed up there, open the shutters, then threw a rock through, okay, to break that window, okay, then climb back up and go through and not leave any DNA, no blood, no touch DNA, no nothing, Okay.
Mhm. Yep.
No evidence of him. He would have ransacked the room, according to them. And somehow, as if by magic, that the glass on the ledge all fell in a symmetrical way where it never went past where the shutters would close on that ledge.
Mhm.
Okay. So it's almost like, if you look at the pictures of that, if you guys go online, look at the pictures of that, it makes a pattern on the ledge. And that glass doesn't go past where those shutters close. So that's why the police believed that the glass was broken from the inside with the shutters closed. Because if
Right.
it had been open, the glass would have spread out all over that ledge. It
Right.
would.
And didn't Devon call him a serial burglar? I mean, wouldn't a serial burglar something? Nothing was taken in this home. And how did Raph know that?
There's no way. There's no way he would have known it. The other problem that you have with Raphael and Amanda's story is that when she came back to the cottage before him, okay, she never even went in Filomeno's room because the door was shut. Okay, so she goes in, she strips in her room, walks to the bathroom naked, because I guess that's what women do. I don't know. I don't behave that way, but I guess if you're Amanda, you do. And then you get on a mat, a bloody mat that clearly has a footprint on it, but for some reason you think that's probably period. You know, I mean, that's her story,
And
not
as I
mine.
pointed out in our episode, What Amanda Knox Won't Tell You,
Yeah.
is who does she think this woman is with period blood all over the bathroom? Not Meredith Kircher, the neat freak. Couldn't
No,
it be
it's
her?
not just
Neat
running
freak?
down the poor woman's leg. It's putting itself on a man's foot.
Right. So Raph, to one more time to repeat again, Raphael Solecito's footprint, half of his footprint is a perfect image of his footprint,
Yes.
was found in blood on the bath mat. Now Amanda Knox and Raph's tried to put Rudy Guede's foot, and you can hear Devon in that piece say that it was Rudy's footprint. No,
It was Rudy's footprint.
no
How?
court accepts that as evidence. I mean, any defense team can say anything, try to pull anything over. In America, it's often the jury, sometimes the judge, but in Italy, it's judges who evaluate this case, and it's
Right.
exceedingly defense friendly. So for Amanda Knox to be, I say convicted twice. It's a different system. It's more like sort of like it really is like another trial, though. It can't be no evidence. I mean, that would be the fastest trial in the world.
Right.
Just,
Well,
I don't like her face. She's a
it doesn't
woman.
make-
She's a crazy
yeah.
cat, bitch. I don't like her.
I
She's
mean,
pretty. And or did they just say she's pretty and white women don't do this?
yeah, I
And
guess.
they sat down? Was that why it was so quick? I don't get it. I just there's so it's just ignorance of the process. Anyone who's been to court, covered trials, like I have, knows that everything moves so exceedingly slowly in court. And the evidence, each piece of evidence is evaluated with such care.
Yeah. Well, it doesn't make sense for Rudy Guede to go into the bathroom with his shoes off, a bare foot, okay, and then he's supposedly cleaned himself off, but then he hightails it out of there in shoes with blood all over the bottom. It doesn't make any sense. And how does he lock her door? Where's the key? How did he know to even do that? You have to lock the door with a key.
Right.
That's a huge thing for me. And there's no hesitation at that door where his footprints have to turn around and lock that door. No, those footprints go right out, and they're in big strides. You can see that it's a greater than average stride that he's moving out the door. with his shoes on. He's not hanging out and taking off his socks and shoes and walking around in the bathroom. Like, that's the only people that would do that are the people that know no one else is coming home.
True.
And who knew no one else was coming home?
Yeah.
It wasn't Rudy.
Nope. Is there anything that do we, it's a lot of evidence against Amanda Knox. Her own words, her own statements, her own actions.
Oh, and she changed her story so many times. The last time we talked, I talked about, her story in the bathroom. First she says, she had different stories when she wrote to her family. She said she noticed blood in the sink. Then she said she noticed it on the bath mat first. Her every little detail changes. And then you already mentioned the door. She said that Meredith always locked her door. And then later on in the email, she said, oh, well, we knew she never locked her door, so we tried to break into the room. I think they locked that door and threw that key away. And I think they did try and get in that door so they could get her lamp. That's what I think.
This was first of all, thank you, KB. KB says, atheist rude. Thank you. Thank you. And I have one more. Thank you. Wait, hold on. Let me. I'm trying to. Oh, here we go. Thank you, MW, for the super sticker. I really appreciate it. That really keeps this podcast going. Appreciate it. It just takes a lot of time to do this work, and this was a horrible, horrible murder. Meredith Kircher died of both blood loss and asphyxiation, meaning she drowned in her own bload.
Oh, it was gruesome. It was absolutely
by people
gruesome.
She knew, and they took away her cell phone and her keys in a way to prevent her from getting help. And I always kind of honed in on the fact that Amanda Knox never went to, she always says like, oh, we were becoming better friends. So if you really were so close, I love when she says, I didn't wield a knife. I had no reason to. That's such a liar's argument. Like, I had no reason that you know of to kill her. Right? That's what that means. It all looks good from the outside. It looks like we went to a classical music concert like a week, weeks back. But see, let's look at some of the propaganda.
Oh, she always likes to make it sound like we were friends. We weren't friends. I didn't know her very well. Everyone said she just went right back to her regular life, went right back to school, and didn't even go to her memorial, nothing. Even if you don't know someone that well, if you're living with them, aren't you going to go to their memorial?
Right.
And she just said, well, I didn't know her very well. And then she said, and then later on, she's like, we were friends. It doesn't help that everything Amanda says is just so weird. And she's nodding her head yes.
That is not proof of murder. Please do not straw man Tuesday's argument. This is the Great Tuesday Money. I'm sorry, I didn't give you a very good introduction. I was so floored by that fantastic, loving ending of Devon's that I didn't give you a proper introduction. Please go subscribe to the Tuesday Money channel. Yeah. And I think you said this is going to pull you out of retirement. Is this
I think it's going to pull me out of retirement.
I hope so. Something good has come out of this crap video. Hold on. Let's watch some of the Amanda Knox propaganda together. So this is a piece that the Great True Crimes channel, we watched her fantastic video yesterday, Amanda Knox lie spotting, and that was just for Devon because I know he loves behavioral panel stuff. And today we're going to look at her video and former FBI lies for Amanda Knox.
Well, even the behavior panel.
Hi, welcome to Crime Time. Today we're going to be talking about the Amanda Knox case and go inside the investigation with former FBI agent Steve Moore, and also Jim Clemente is here. We're going to break it all down. Stay with us. Knox and her former boyfriend, Rafael Solito,
Solicito is good.
Thank you. We're going to call him Raphael from now
Raph.
on. FBI agent who then moved on to work at Pepperdine in security and to oversee their campuses abroad as well.
You got a chance to look into the investigation in a lot more detail. What did you find?
And that was just before Amanda's guilty verdict in 2009. And by the way, she was in prison for just a month short of 4 years.
Okay.
So by the end of her first trial, she had been in prison over 2. And in late November of 2009, my wife wakes me up at 1 a.m. after seeing a documentary on the case and says, I think there's problems with this. And me being, ex-FBI, my dad was an FBI agent, I thought, when did you stop listening to the prosecutor? I thought who are you? I don't know you. And so she said, prove me wrong. And so I said, this is going to be easy. The police said that she cleaned the place with bleach. They've got a bleach receipt, they said. They've got the knife with her fingerprints on the handle and the victim's DNA on the blade. And they've got a confession. I said, bam, 5 strikes, you're way out. And she said, prove it. So I went in and I started using contacts and friends. I had worked overseas a lot with the FBI. And I started looking at the evidence. And the first thing I looked at was the knife, because that's kind of open and shut. Her fingerprints on the handle, victim's DNA on the blade. And then I found that the prosecutor's own forensic expert said that every single knife wound that was fatal on the victim with the exception of one, could not have been
made by this knife.
Made by the knife. It couldn't have happened. It was excluded. And then the wound that they said they couldn't exclude it for was a slashing wound, which could be any knife in the world.
Right, and that just means that a sharp-edged instrument drawn across the throat, you can't definitely rule in or rule out anything, any sharp object. It could be a razor blade, it could be a piece of glass, it could be a sharp knife.
So there is
They basically said is every single wound except for the slash was caused by a different knife, and the slash we just can't absolutely tell you that it wasn't.
Let me just take a because she is facing extradition because she has again been found guilty, Amanda.
But I just want to make sure that the viewers know that he started with the knife and went through every one of those other pieces of evidence and also found them to be absolutely ruled out.
Each one of the
that used to be like a three-parter, a great three-parter. Really,
oh yeah,
gotta love true crimes. Shout out to her and her channel has done incredible work on the Amanda Knox case, and really, it's really sad that she's like kind of shut down and opened up her channel so much. I think she has like an incredible amount of views on the live spotting video. It's like really, I think it was close to 1 million views at one point. But it's interesting with Amanda Knox. So she has such a powerful PR firm behind her. I was just getting ready for this stream and was looking for the lingerie pictures, scrub clean. Anything that you say, if you type in Amanda Knox guilty, a whole lot of stuff comes up about her innocence, including the love letter pieces the New York Times has written to her. Just like the New York Times has written love letter pieces to Kevin Cooper and, Rodney Reed. They love this, even if it's not our justice system. I guess the point of our media is that no justice system works. It's all unjust. And it's much better trial by propaganda and media. And it's really sad to see, a friend of the show like Devon Tracey, who's done so many great innocence fraud videos, make his own innocence fraud video for Amanda Knox, and so badly. I'm sorry. That's just my honest feelings. I just thought it was really the pits. Like as far as research, as due diligence, research, and it was edited great. You always love the video for that.
Oh, he's stellar. He's stellar.
Yeah. And I enjoyed being called a BITCH and a CUNT.
My favorite.
Didn't bother me too much, but it's just I was kind of flattered actually, but this is just it's just sad that he understands. I played in the beginning a clip where he's talking about exactly how innocence fraud is so morally repulsive, because what they're doing is making the victimizer a victim while obscuring the victim altogether, and while virtue signaling that they're taking part in some kind of like cause, some great cause. And you can see that in his tweet. Wait, hold on. Let me see if I can find it. Hold on 1 sec. 1 second. His tweet about me here. He's calling me an innocence fraudster. That doesn't even make any sense, Devon. I've never said Rudy Guede is innocent. I'm not shilling for any murderers here. Okay. And if I do find a really good case of innocence, I will talk about it. Definitely on this channel. I just haven't found one yet. I have to go where the evidence leads me. And I can't just make a new kaleidoscope of by ignoring the evidence and putting in the things that I like and saying one guy did it, even though no court supports that. No one who has looked at all the evidence in this case, who understands this case, has said that. The only people who say that are Amanda Knox supporters.
Don't you know that Amanda Knox?
If you go to Injustice in Perugia, which is the exact equivalent of going to the Innocence Project website and copying down their talking points and whipping up a video really quickly. He should have taken his time.
Don't you know that Amanda Knox
would have been much better, as regards to me. And he says that so basically saying that Jews that this somehow me being Jewish is relevant to this, and me being a woman is relevant. But it's not relevant that Barry Neufeld and Barry Scheck, who started the Innocence Project, were two men, and that there are plenty of men pushing innocence fraud. This isn't like some kind of like, there's a lot of Jewish lawyers. What can I say?
Well, yeah, exactly. What can you say? No, don't you know that Amanda Knox is a poor victim who has no voice on the Joe Rogan show?
Right. He has no voice with a giant agency. She's got like 3 different agencies, all doing one for just her speaking engagements. One just like, I think it's CAA, Creative Artists Agency, represents her, but I often get that wrong. So double check that. But it's a giant agency representing. And that's why she's always out in the public, while most of the public does not like her.
And she pushes all these other guilty
Knox's
people.
guilt is not one of them.
She pushes all these other guilty people. You would think, I'm just saying, you would think he would recognize right off, dude, this has got to be a fraud. Look at this. Look at all the hallmarks here. Look at everything that you see, the saturation in our media of this idea that she's innocent, the outright lies that are told over and over about this case, and the fact that it's a DNA case. You'll notice all these innocent fraud cases, they all revolve around DNA. And if you want me to accept all the evidence against Rudy Guede, which I do, okay, you do, we
Can
all
you just say that for the people in the back once more?
Yeah.
No one here and no one ever has said Rudy Guede is innocent. No one has said that ever except Devon Tracey to straw man his his opponent's arguments. And thank you, John B, for the $9.99 super sticker. I really appreciate it. Good time. Thank you. I appreciate it. And hold on, before I want to marry. Don't we all want to marry Tuesday? I agree. We're all a little in love with her. Let's face it.
Oh, that's my man. I love him.
Thank you for the $19.99. I really appreciate
it. Too. Oh man, no, like I said, the DNA is always the stickler with these cases because they feel as though DNA is the end all be all. And the absence of DNA or the absence of something is evidence of absence. And that's just simply not true. And they have this way of saying, if you accept all this evidence from Rudy Guede, then you have to accept all the evidence. You can't just say everything else is contaminated.
Right.
And they always go to this contamination argument. Right. And in this case, it's even worse. Because it's selective.
Exactly.
I'm sorry.
Whatever the strongest piece of evidence is against a killer or convicted person that the innocence movement wants to get out, the wrongful conviction movement wants to get out, that is going to be somehow wrong. So if it's a confession or confessions, even with the Central Park Five, it's a false confessions.
Right.
Or in the case of the West Memphis Three and Jesse Miskelly, it's just false confessions. Like he just kept confessing even after post-conviction.
Even after.
Right. To his lawyer against his
him.
best interests with, it's just this idea that we're smarter than the courts, that the courts get it wrong, that we know more from watching a documentary, from turning on Netflix than going through the documents. It's a real kind of arrogance that leads you to this kind of embarrassment.
Well, let's take the bra clasp. Okay, this is the one that they think that somehow if a bra clasp is on the floor for 36 days or whatever it was, I can't remember now, that somehow that's going to contaminate the evidence and turn the DNA found on the bra clasp into the genetic material of Raffaele Sollecito. Because if they would have tested it first, it would have been Rudy Guede's DNA, apparently. I mean, we exhume bodies from 200 years ago and accept the genetic material found in those bones, and nobody screams, but it's contaminated. No, and back then we didn't even know about germs,
Right.
No, nobody questions that, right?
Right.
But when it comes to these samples that may have been found late or this or that or whatever, they pick and pick and pick and pick and pick, and they turn it into this bizarre, fantasy world where genetic material turns into something else. We saw it in the OJ trial. What did Barry Scheck say? He said that they had a vial of blood in his pocket. And because it was in his pocket and not refrigerated, that somehow the blood would turn into that of O.J. Simpson. Now, if that were the case, why didn't we find O.J. Simpson's blood at the crime scene here? It doesn't make any sense. These arguments are ludicrous, and they're absolutely fallacious, and they're made by the most ignorant of the most massively ignorant people. That when it comes to science, you have to look at the evidence in its totality, and then you have to break it apart. Then you have to look at it. You can't just isolate little things and pick and prod at certain things you like and then accept things you do like.
Mm-hmm. Right.
It's absolutely illogical. This is the same forensic team that tested for Rudy Guede's DNA and found it. They're the same people that found the mixture of blood of Amanda and the murder victim, and that was found in Philomena's room. And according to Amanda's own words, she wasn't in that room at all. And that goes back to the point I was trying to make before, which was, she said that the door was closed. But when Raffaele came back, he said, when he came back with her, he said the door was open, and that's how they knew the window was broken.
Mm-hmm.
So who opened the door?
Mm-hmm. Right. It's just like, if you feel so strongly, wait, let's go back to Devon's tweet about me. Hold on one second. I just want to pull that up for a second, because
they're his love letters. These are
I really do take them that way. I'm so flattered.
I know. I'm kind of flattered for you, because I'm like, oh, he's paying attention to you. That's
so
awesome.
Obsessed with me. Thank you.
It's cute.
Oh, it's kind of cute, right? So
I think so. I don't know. Maybe I'm sick like that. We're sick.
Sick people.
We're sick.
Unrequited love. My unrequited love for Devon Tracey. So if you're going to say, okay, if you feel this way, if he says, long live Amanda Knox, like, he really feels like this is a noble cause. That's what I get from that. Okay, that's my inference. So if he's saying that, then if you really feel like this is a noble cause, come on my show or a show or anyone else, or Tuesday's show or anyone else who knows something about it. Make us a believer. Hit us with all the strong evidence. Talk to us. Have a dialogue. But innocence fraudsters, like what Devon Tracey's getting into, really disappointingly producing innocent fraud media, they'll never debate with you. They'll never discuss. They only can make a new case out of the case that's there, because if they used all the evidence, it's impossible to argue innocence. These people are so overwhelmingly guilty. It's not like a close case. I mean, the closest thing you get are people like, for example, like a murder for hire kill. But even that, like something like Richard Glossop, that guy convicted himself with his own mouth, and he was convicted twice. And there's Kim Kardashian is now supporting him, and the Innocence Project, are getting in on the West Memphis 3 grift to test the DNA, even though the DNA was tested in 2011 and they never released the results. They instead asked the DA to plead guilty via an Alford plea instead, which is legally a guilty plea, where you can maintain your innocence, but you're legally go down as a triple child killer. They're a legal rarity, a twice convicted triple child killer.
Don't you understand? Damien was dying. He was gonna die.
Mm-hmm.
That's why he's got to wear sunglasses.
That's right. Damien Echols was going to die. He had to take that deal, or he's going to die, and he was going to do more good from the outside. But instead, he went on, vacations with Johnny Depp, getting tattoos. Nothing was done until they actually got off parole, and I believe that I believe that the nuns have done a decent job of putting a chink in their plan to cement this myth. So they're back at it again. I mean, they really pinned it on the another stepfather. They moved from one stepfather to the next. They've done a really good job of cementing that. And then that was kind of uprooted. Damien Echols isn't making the kind of money he was when he got out of prison. The only people that want to have him on are podcasters like Timcast and Joe Rogan says he's going to have someone on from the basically what's the equivalent of the Innocence Project or the Innocence Project themselves every 3 months. Americans love this story. They're in love with this story.
Joe Rogan put on, even Devon covered it. What was that guy that he calls him the literati? He put on another murder that killed that 11-year-old boy.
Mm-hmm.
That was horrible.
Right.
But no,
But I mean, to start
like I
that
said,
video off talking about what's true, that the truth is so important. He's like, truth is so important to me. That's why I did
yes.
no due diligence at all. Didn't check out any of these facts and just ran to the equivalent of the Innocence Project website, repeated it, and released it as a big own.
Yeah.
It's
No,
so
I was
sad.
shocked.
It's
I
sad.
was
And it's really
shocked.
dangerous because he's really, really good at making these videos. So he's making some slick
Exactly.
propaganda for a killer.
I agree. I am shocked because when you do something like that, then it makes people question, well, what else have you rushed? You know, you want to go back over and think, are all your videos like this? Or are you just
No.
going by something?
No, it's not a crime to fall for this stuff. We all have fallen for it at one time or another. But
oh yeah,
when you can't admit that you
100%.
can be fooled, it just makes you a bigger sucker. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like only a sucker admits that they can't be fooled. We all can be fooled.
exactly.
All of us.
And not just in the area of true crime, in other areas of our life where there's always something that you're going to believe that you find out later on isn't true. But what are you going to do? I hope that he does take the time to learn the other side, because it would be interesting to see him slowly change his mind.
Oh, I don't think he will. I don't think he's capable of it. I think that he says he's never wrong. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you're right. I'm an internal optimist for people myself. So he's smart enough. If he does take the time to learn, he will come to the same conclusion. I have no doubt about that. Zero doubt.
I mean, does anyone else think that if this case fit his narrative, say if, I don't know, Amanda Knox and I don't know, if they were all three black men doing this, and this was the same evidence against,
right,
them, don't you think he would be making videos about it? Wouldn't you think he'd be saying it's overwhelming?
I would think. I always think about that stuff. I always think about what I try and always identify my biases. And this is one thing I talk about in my series, Why They're Guilty, is, knowing who you are, knowing what you want to jump to conclusions about, and overriding that. And I think when we look at crime stats and stuff, it's fair to say that it seems like, okay, the black man, right? I mean, it's fair to say that. It's fair to come to that analysis right away. That's where the biases is. That's where a bias is, right? And so because we know that, now we have to ask ourselves, okay, but why did Italy convict her and Raffaele Sollecito twice? They convicted him once and then upheld it again, right? Why did that happen? And when you start
Italy has such a kangaroo court, which is totally untrue, but you have to say that. I mean, you just have to say things that are untrue. That's the essence of innocence fraud. You have to make something untrue true. And it's the ultimate, I mean, for those of you out there interested in Satanism, it's the ultimate reversal, no? I mean, I love how Devon said that, that I said this was some kind of satanic crime. Never said that, nor Menini has never said that.
He never said
that
sex
claim gone wrong was never argued in court. Those are all Amanda Knox talking points.
Exactly. It all came from her PR because they wanted to make it look like, I don't know, they wove other stories in together, and they tried making some kind of, some fantasy in their mind. And because those fantasies are so easy to knock down, they're able to claim victory, and therefore she's innocent. And it's not that simple. It's just not that simple of a case. I wish it were.
We're like 2 hours in. I mean, we can make this a marathon stream.
Oh yeah, let's go for it. Play the.
Is there anything we missed? I mean, we could talk all day long. We could go into other cases. We could. I don't know. But
what's that video that people got to look up? Amanda Knox Dolls? Is that what it's called?
Oh, let's watch that together, shall
Should
we?
we watch it? Because this
Let me
one's
see if I can
so
find it. Hold on.
good.
Let me try
It's
to
only
go.
a couple minutes, you guys. It's
Oh,
only a couple minutes.
Let me see if
If
I
you
can
haven't
find it. It's
seen
so
this,
good. Oh,
yeah,
wow. Hold on
if
one
you guys
second.
haven't seen this,
I
you
did
are
not
going
prepare for
to
this.
die. It's so
Oh.
good. No, take your time. I'll talk and round. No, but it's only a couple minutes, but it makes such a good point because it's just using Amanda's own words. So powerful. And you
Found
just
it.
can't. Oh, let's watch it.
Okay, here we go. Let me see if I can. Wait, actually, you know what I'm going to do? Hold on one second. Let me just, because it's just like a lot easier to wait. Hold on. Just give me a second. Keep going. Just talk about, I don't
worries,
know.
No worries. Yeah.
Shuffle,
This is a
play
great
music,
video.
something. Keep it going.
Yeah.
I would prefer not to. Hold on one second.
It's just
I
such an
prefer not
odd
to share
video.
screen.
Oh yeah, no. It's an odd video because it was just sort of this offshoot, right? You wouldn't really find it unless you were digging for it. But the first time I watched it, I was just blown away because it goes right off the court records, all the police records, all the statements that she made. And there's no way around it. She's just a liar. She's just a flat out liar. And you have to ask yourself, if you're so innocent, why are you lying about it? There's no reason to lie if you've done nothing wrong. Because her story is that she's with Raffaele the whole night and they didn't do anything. They didn't go anywhere.
Right. It's just processing and downloading right now. It's just take a second. It's very short.
Yeah, it's
and
very
if this doesn't process, if it's starting, I hope it's not messing up the stream. But if it doesn't, oh, here we go.
Oh, good.
Here we go.
Good.
These are my Amanda Knox talking dolls. There are 8 different Amanda dolls in total, one for each of her stories. I didn't make them myself. They're the work of a terrific female artist with whom I swapped Mad Magazine #2 a couple of years back. The first doll is called Crime Scene Amanda.
This morning, I went to the house, and I found the front door open and blood in my bathroom. I took a shower. We've had burglars. Meredith always locks her door, even just going for a shower. Break it down? Do you really have to? Oh my God! They're screaming. I haven't seen.
What I really like about these dolls is they say Amanda's own words. The sources for those words you just heard were Romanelli and Mellis. The next doll is Police Station Amanda.
I know everything. I was the first to find her. What do you want to know? What do you think? She fucking bled to death.
It was Purton, Hayward, and Rodenhurst who heard those words come out of her mouth. The next doll is Email Amanda. Now this is where her story starts to genuinely change. Whereas at the cottage she told everyone she wasn't worried in the slightest by Meredith's door being locked and that it was a normal thing. In this email,
I knocked louder and louder until I was really banging on her door and shouting her name. No response. Panicking, I ran out onto our terrace to see if maybe I could see over the ledge into her room from the window, but I couldn't see in.
the next doll is Kitchen Amanda. Ficarra and Mignini are the sources here.
I met Patrick at the basketball court and I went home with him. Patrick had sex with Meredith. I remember, confusedly, that he's the one who killed her. Think I stayed in the kitchen. I heard Meredith's screams. I was frightened and put my hands over my ears.
The following day, Amanda personally requested a piece of paper and a pen and voluntarily wrote a memo. Here are the words of Memo Amanda.
I know that Raffaele has placed evidence against me, saying that I was not with him on the night of Meredith's murder. I know the police are confused as to why it took me so long to call. I stand by my statements that I made last night about events that could have taken place in my home with Patrick. But I want to make very clear that these events seem more unreal to me than what I said before. I don't remember for sure if I was at my house that night.
Obviously, the source in that case is Amanda's own handwriting, and actually that's the source for the next doll, which is called Journal Amanda, where she appears to change her mind again about who the murderer might be.
Maybe Raffaele went to Meredith's house, raped and killed her.
Okay, at last we get to Courtroom Amanda. Some people may remember this.
When I got out of the shower, I saw that I had forgotten my towel, so I wanted to use the bath mat to get to my room. And that's when I saw the bloody stain that was on the bath mat. I used the mat to kind of hop over to my room and into my room. I took my towel and I used the mat to get back to the bathroom.
Those words are in the court record. The judge was Dr. Giancarlo Massei. Finally, Prison Amanda. The source for these words was a hidden microphone.
I can't say anything but the truth because I know I was there. I mean, I can't lie.
Amanda Knox, talking dolls. So that's all her statements, and you can see how they change from.
Yeah. Oh
from
yeah, I like
situation to
when
situation.
she speculated that Raffaele raped her and killed her.
Yeah, it's
It's
crazy.
it's unbelievable. And he wrote stuff in his journal about, trying to explain the knife away.
The knife,
And
and
then
he says, "It was out of my mind with I was in prison losing my mind when I wrote that." But that doesn't even
yeah,
make sense. Why would you
he
lose
pricked
your
her
mind in a
finger.
logical, rational way that would make you look innocent? If you're really losing your mind, wouldn't it be sort of like disorganized and not make any sense?
Well, didn't he say he pricked her finger while
He pricked
making?
her. I just remember pricked her, not their finger. I
Yeah,
thought it was her. I always imagined
yeah,
it as her arm. I don't know if that's my imagination or actually what he wrote, but he pricked her, meaning he was looking to tailor the evidence so that he could have a reason for why Meredith's DNA would be on the blade of the knife and would be in his room. So Devon never answered the question why Rudy Guede would kill, rape, and sorry, I shouldn't be using that word anyway.
yeah.
R.I.P.
Well,
Or
yeah.
try to, I think he said, which is more factually correct with the evidence, and try to murder her, then take one of the use two knives doing it, right?
hmm No
Take
defense
one of them
wounds.
over to Raf's and put it in the drawer.
Well,
Meredith was
wouldn't
never
have
over at Raffaele's apartment.
it wouldn't have, yeah, it wouldn't have happened. Why would her genetic material, her blood, be on one of his knives? It doesn't even make sense. There's no way to even it's mind-boggling.
Yeah. Well, I
No
think
way to explain it.
Sorry, excuse me. Yeah, I think we've done it. Do you feel that way? I mean, do you feel like is there any questions? Hit me up
I
with
mean,
super
I
chat
hope
questions.
so.
I don't know.
But I will say the one thing about this case is that there is a lot here.
Mhm.
It's not something that you can just go over you know what I'm saying? It's not something you can learn in a day. This took me months to get through everything.
Yeah.
And I'm talking about reading and some of the stuff, I'll be honest, you forget a lot of this stuff. I mean, but just even going over the interrogation and all the stuff that went on there, that it takes forever. We didn't even get to Amanda doing her cartwheels. I mean, it's just.
Right. I think I covered that when I was covering.
Yeah.
But yeah, she was doing reels and splits. Now she says it's like just yoga stretches, but it's just sort of like,
can we say Jodi Arias and Shayna Hubers? And that was a good looking girl, Shayna Hubers.
Right. There's another one, Jodi Arias. I mean, and that's why these make the news, is because they're pretty women. But, you know, you're just jealous. You're just jealous.
I'm jealous. You know, what can I say?
We all can't be Amanda Knox. We all can't
get away with murder.
Be annoying, say inappropriate things, and kill our roommate. And have a massive, you know, out of control cocaine habit that lands your cell phone or your phone on the dealers. Was it his pager or is it cell phone? I can't even remember. Probably his cell phone, I think, right?
I believe it was a cell phone, if I remember correctly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, it's just, I think Devon said it best. You know, this is, Devon, you're taking part in a huge injustice, to quote you, by doing this, by supporting a killer. You're taking part in a huge injustice as a way, as a kind of, and not even as a virtue signal, as a way to try to own. And yet you did it so with such little true effort and such poor research. It was really one of the worst. I think one of the worst. I mean, even I would say, I don't know. I think the people who were trying to make Anthony Porter might have done a better job. At least they were factually accurate more than Devon did a better job.
I just think if
you're not half as talented as Devon, so I don't know what, I don't know what's going on. You know, people are,
if he knew the case,
people are worried about him. You know, behind the scenes, they're messaging me, they're asking me what's wrong with him, if he's bipolar, if he's having a nervous breakdown. You know, it can't be fun to, you know.
It happens. It happens. People break down.
Right. This to show this much upset over such a small, what he, you know, I mean, to take this to take a difference of opinion as a major slight is ridiculous. And
it's not that big of a deal.
This killer. And well, and I don't think he'll ever unhitch it, because I don't think he has the I don't think he got that out of Eagle Scouts. He learned how to call women CUNTs and Eagle Scouts, but he did not learn how to temper his pride and admit he's wrong. So it goes on.
Well, maybe he'll learn it. Maybe he'll accept the challenge.
Once again, always welcome to discuss the case.
Oh, I'd love to. I'd love to.
Anytime he wants. Have a great night, everybody. Thanks for listening. If you got this far, this was a marathon James Brown type of true crime podcast here. But I really just wanted to, hopefully this will be the last time I ever talk about
don't say that. Don't say that.
No, I said it yesterday. I was like, I just want to put all this here I am again. Right. But I said I would respond to it, so I responded to it. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Have a great night, everybody. Have a great rest of the week. Thank you, Tuesday. I love you. Good night, everybody. Hang right there.